Hey guys, it's Ashley Martin, CEO of Leadership Lady, and welcome to another episode of Leaders Lens, where you will get remarkable insight from some incredible leaders. I'm here today with somebody who is phenomenal. CEO of Sophisticated Press, Renetta Gunn-Stevens. She believes that every business should have a book and that every book is a business. And I would agree with her. But I'm going to let her tell you about her story and how she landed on the path of helping people get global exposure through writing. Welcome, Renetta.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Ashley, for having me today.
Yeah, thank you for being here and saying yes. First of all, let me back up because we have a lot going on in the world. How are you?
I am doing well under the circumstances.
Right.
You know, you just have to be flexible and adaptable. And so we're adapting.
Right. That's a big word, a huge word.
Mhm.
And a message for 2020, just be adaptable, be flexible, and stay agile.
Yeah.
With all of that going on, you're doing big things with Sophisticated Press. I want us to take a walk back in your history
Mm-hmm.
and tell the audience, tell us a little bit how you got here. Of all the paths you could have taken in life, how did you end up becoming a publisher?
Yeah. Publisher was not in my journal of to-do list or my journal with my goals. I just wanted to publish a book for my 40th birthday. I had my book concept on a USB for years, like 2 to 3 years. And I was like, I need to do something with this content before this USB get wet, before I lose it, and then I have to start all over again. And so I was turning 40 and I decided to self-publish a book. And I had already had started, different inquiries for different publishing houses. And when I went back to those publishing houses and was like, I'm ready to proceed, it just didn't work out. The customer service was bad. The pricing was off. It was just all of these things wrong. So I went back in prayer and I was like, Lord, what is going on? Like, I just want self-publish my book. And God was like, well, I don't want you just to self-publish your book. I want you to be a publisher. And I was like, what? Like, God, this is me. I'm just trying to celebrate turning 40. And he was like, no, I have some children I'm going to send to you that has some stories to tell, that have some geniuses that needs to be in the marketplace. And I need someone in the marketplace that I can trust, that I can send them to. And so I simply said, be it unto me, like Mary said, honestly. And I began to be trained. Now, I know, I'm not pushing religion on anyone, but this is my story. This is how literally it happened. I turned off the radio. I turned off the TV. And I just began to listen to the Holy Spirit guide me on what to research and how to start a publishing company. Because obviously now I was going to become a publisher. And I began to research independent contracts. And I began to think about all of the customer service lessons that I learned on my previous job in corporate. And then I began to just start taking action and setting up shop as a publisher.
Right. You said some major things in there. One, you trained, right? So you got this idea, and God literally just gave it to you and told you this is what I want you to do, and this is how it's going to go. But you didn't just stop there. You did your homework.
Yes.
How important is it for leaders, future business owners, even people who maybe they work for somebody else? How important is it for them to study their craft, to study the thing that they're setting out to do?
It's very important because one of the stages that you go through when you become an entrepreneur and definitely a leader is, we've been trained our whole life how to build other people's dreams. And when it comes to our dreams, these executives, they don't know how to build their own dreams because we've never been trained how to go hard for ourselves. So it's so important to learn the craft that you're going to go in. So that way, you're not out here being a fraud. and B, you can serve to the maximum capacity, because that's what's really going to make you stand out as a leader, if you're qualified to serve. And so that qualification comes with your research. And that was what made Sophisticated Press so different, is because I was my first customer. And I was able to go through each stage, the ugly stage. My first book was ugly. It wasn't up to par, but it was just the fact that I did it. And so I learned these different processes to self-publishing. And so it's definitely important to do your research.
Right, right. And it's funny what you said, your first book, and how all the things you learn. I'm a writer as well. There are people who are going to be listening. They're authors, or they're thinking about it. And that first piece of work, you're like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And then you redo it, and you learn things, and you grow, and you get sharp. And so and then you'll see your growth. Just as time goes on, it'll be evidenced through the work that you do. You should continue to see upgrades and things leveling up. You mentioned something else about turning the TV off, turning the radio off. I would imagine not really listening to a lot of people at a certain point when you were beginning to start your business.
Yeah.
Quieting down to listen to what God is saying. Some people may say the universe, we say God here, or just quieting to listen internally, just being still. Because there's so much noise out there, right? Yeah. And not all bad noise. Noise does not mean something bad.
Right.
But I think it's pretty big of you to know that you needed to quiet some things down and get some instruction before you went out, right?
Yeah.
That's major. Is that something that you still do? Because you're now at a certain point. Let's talk about, when did you start Sophisticated Press?
We started it in 2018.
Okay, so 2018. So you're now about 3 years in, almost 3 years in.
Yeah.
Is that something that you still do?
Absolutely. When people come to my home, because I have a home office, that's one of the things they say, like, it's so peaceful here. And that's because we don't have a lot of TVs. We have TVs. I do watch TV. But one thing about creation is always talking. God is he has always something for us to do. And so I like having a quiet environment where I can just listen and I can hear, like, what is the next step? What is my pecking orders for this quarter? What is my pecking orders for this week? What does this particular client, Lord, that you gave me, how do I need to serve them? Because truly, you gave them this book, and then you sent them to me to help them publish the book. So I need your insight on what I need to do to help them get this book into the marketplace in the right place. And so I believe that there is, it is based on your learning style. But for me, my learning style is where I need it quiet so I can just really hear. And even as a writer, because I wrote a fiction book as well, the characters, like, they're always talking to you. And so sometimes you really need that silence just so you can hear creation talking to you.
That's major. That's major. It is major. I remember when we first met at the conference we were talking about, and we did a book exchange.
Yes, we did.
You got Focus, and I got your book on boardroom language. That book helped me tremendously. So thank you for writing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because at that time, personally, it was a difficult time trying to figure out which verbiage and language to use around different people in the business world.
Yeah.
And so that book is so necessary to help with just cultural understanding of different terms that people use. Different terms that people use. You mentioned something about service, right? And I know that that's a big part of just what you believe, like your business philosophy. You want to talk a little bit about that? Yeah,
absolutely. We have this saying that we say inside our office, is that we don't chase the bag, we chase problems, right? And so that's that service mindset where we want to serve you. We want to provide you resolutions. And if we provide you resolutions and we serve you, then the bag is automatic. And so, that's one of the biggest lessons in business where they tell you, if you're just not selfish, if you're really just thinking about serving your customer, serving your client, you're going to be successful, because that's why people want to spend money to solve their problems. And I think that is where some of the authors are having problems with book sales, because they're doing it from a selfish position. A selfish position is, and it's not that you're a bad person, because humans have that selfish, DNA.
Human nature.
When you come into the marketplace, you're saying, buy my book, buy my book. You only can do that for about 5 days, and now it's old. Buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. But if you come in and say, hey, if you purchase this book is going to provide this for you. This book is going to give you these type of results in your life. That's that serving position. And now you're serving your niche market. And now they want to buy the book, not because for you, but for them. And that's what helped the money come in. And now you're making money, and you're also making a difference in the world.
That's major. It's a major, and I think that needs to be shared more when people are thinking about writing a book. I would never be one to dissuade somebody from putting content out there, putting art out there, putting, positive things out into the world. But always have a purpose with it, because purpose is what's going to lead to profits.
Yes.
I'd never imagined that my first book, and you probably have this experience, is still selling.
Yeah.
When I still do conferences and people are, where can I get that? I'm like, y'all still want this book? I wrote this in 2014.
Yeah.
Then redid it in 2017. But there's purpose in it. So what you're saying is extremely important. And then I would imagine that you probably do some education around different types of books, because there are people who do want to share their stories, right? And like you were saying, it's not that they're a bad person or you're being selfish, because your story could help somebody. But do you do some education around those the different types of books that people can write and put out there, and the different impacts that books can have?
Yeah, we definitely do. That's another characteristic of our company, is we just don't want your money and just tell you, okay, self-publish your book. We actually take our time to build a relationship with you. And we look into your genre. We have you study your genre. We have you study the greats in your genre, the competitors in your genre. And when you are telling your story, we make sure that, you're healed first. Because some people, they want to tell their story, and we have to find out your why. Do you want to tell your story just because you've never been able to tell your story? And even if no answer is wrong, but we need to find out your why. Why do you want to tell your story? Is it just to tell your story? Is it to point a finger? Because some people may be still angry of their abuser, or something like that. Or is it to be like the Harriet Tubman, to say, hey, I've been through the mud, but now that I'm free, I want to go back and grab somebody else that's going through what I'm going through, and help them navigate through what I've been through. So we do have a lot of authors who want to tell about the abuse, want to tell about the molestation, want to tell about the family secrets, but we make sure that that they're healed, and we make sure that if they need counseling, that they get counseling first, because it can be tricky. We've had family members call and say, hey, we don't want this book published, because they know that of the ugly things that they may have done to an author. But it's like, hey, if this is their truth, they have to tell it, but we will make sure they tell it with integrity, so that way they don't get into lawsuits or anything like that. But it is very important. I think that's for what authors need to do as well. Don't just come in as a rookie into a genre and not understand the genre that you're entering in. So if you're going to come into a children's book and you want to do a children's book, study children's books. And the easiest way to do that, you all, is to go straight to Amazon. Just go to Amazon, look at the book covers, look at, who are the best sellers in your genre. Look at the colors that they use for your book cover, and learn from the greats.
Awesome. Don't reinvent the wheel. Innovate, indeed, innovate.
Yeah.
Be creative, because there's always something new that's coming up. But that's some incredible advice. I would tell people also, just go to Barnes and Nobles, find a book section. If you need to get out of the house, find a book section in a store and go peruse the aisles, and frolic the book aisles and see
Yeah.
and see what's going on in what you say in your genre. I love it. What else is really powerful is that you make sure that people are writing from a healed place, because I can guarantee you what's going on with you at a particular time when you're writing is going to pop out on the paper.
Yeah.
It's going to pop out, and writing is very cathartic. So if sometimes you may have to write and say, hey, this is a version of a book that maybe nobody sees.
Right.
Maybe nobody sees. Maybe that's just your therapy. And then you go back and do a second version. I've had to do that, bleeding on paper, very therapeutic. But I also knew that was a version of a story that nobody need to see but me, God, and the computers.
That's it.
I love what you're doing. This sounds like your life's purpose and work.
It was so funny because, again, growing up as a child, I knew that I was going to be something, but I really didn't know what, honestly. But it was funny because my mom had told me that when I was little, I said I was going to retire at 40. And it was around 40 where I was like, oh, I want to make sure I get this book out. So God kind of knew, even though I'm working now for my company, he knew that at 40, he was pulling me out of corporate, and he was going to allow me to just work for the people. And that's my greatest joy. It's just like, I never thought I would be doing it, but now that I am in it, I couldn't imagine doing anything else but helping people tell their story and share their genius through books.
Right. That's amazing. So we've been in COVID pandemic for a little over a year.
Yeah.
You started your business pre-COVID.
Yeah.
How has the pandemic affected things?
Yeah. Well, based on the mentorship that I had and you were exposed to as well, I started Sophisticated Press as a virtual business, right? As a home business. So when COVID hit, we didn't get hit negatively. We actually got hit positively because we didn't have a brick and mortar. We didn't have, like this warehouse or anything that we had to close down. We were already online. And then when people was losing their jobs, it actually was an opportunity to help them understand that books is an additional stream of income. And due to the unstable economy, you have to begin to set up streams of income that you are in control of versus giving that control to your employer or the government. And so we were able to just position again the resolution, position again the service and the opportunities that books offer. So really with a book, you can almost create 7 additional streams of income through one book.
Right.
And so my goal as the CEO was just to talk to the executives, talk to the natural hair sisters, talk to the children, people that was creative and always thought about writing books, and say, hey, this is the time now to invest in yourself, even though it's a pandemic. Don't retreat. Don't shrivel up. No, take action and create some opportunity for yourself. And so actually, the last 3 months, we've made what we've made in 1 year in 3 months. So the pandemic is actually not affecting us negatively at all. Right. But I think that's all because of the perspective of the leader and of the culture. Right. We're always thinking positive, and no matter what the situation is, we find the positive in it.
Love it. You have to. You have to find that. You have to find that good. That's how you maintain momentum, That's how you keep going, especially this is an assignment for you. That's how you have to keep going. What is, with all of the serving and the talking about books and looking at manuscripts and editing and all of that, what does a week look like in your shoes?
Yeah. Well, a week look like for me, first of all, a week is freedom, right? This is like the biggest I would say highlight of my life is I get to partner with God every day and just live my life free. I don't have to punch a clock per se. So I just want to drive in that highlight of just being able to control my day. If a family member is sick or need my assistance, I can be by their side. Because I remember working for corporate, and I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that say quit your job. No, keep your job, and and learn from that company you're working with. But for me, I remember just working in corporate, and my grandmother was dying, and I was at work. It was one of the most important people in my life, and so now it's just like just having that freedom I'm going to work longer hours now as an entrepreneur, but I have the freedom. If I want to go on a walk, if I want to take my son to school, if I want to do a midday business meeting at Starbucks, the freedom. Right. If I want to use the bathroom, not having to ask for it. If I don't want to smell onions from my next door, so they don't have to smell their lunch. Right. So I just want to really drive home. Like, that's the first thing about my week is I get to have that freedom to plan it. The second thing is I'm always a student. So I have my Google alerts anytime there's self-publishing or publishing in the media. I check my emails to stay in the know as the publisher. And then I'm always learning, looking at, social media, seeing what type of content to create for the authors. We have a private Facebook group. I'm making sure that my virtual assistant is keeping that relational engagement up inside the personal Facebook group. And then we have the weekly accountability calls. So again, we don't want to just take your money and, just say, send us your manuscript. No, we meet with you every week or bi-weekly, and we are your accountability partner. So you don't have to go through the process alone.
Right. That's major. That accountability piece. That's what I work a lot with my clients on. And so I'm glad that you're including that, because when they're writing and they're producing a body of work, you can sometimes, there's different stages that writers go through, that creatives go through. Even if you are a corporate, or you think you're a type A or very technical person, there's a part of you that likes to explore and likes to produce. But you still need to be able to stay focused in that. And so that's what Sophisticated Press does.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They help you to keep your, stay on track with seeing that thing come to life. So that's incredible that you have the Facebook group. And I hear that you have support, because nobody can do it themselves.
Yeah, you got to have that virtual assistant. You got to invest as you grow too, and your territory enlarge. Just investing in hiring the employees, because that's also like a statistic with African American women in their business. Yes, we are one of the highest races and genders that's graduating and starting businesses, but the statistics show that we don't make over $100,000 and we don't have employees. And so yes, fist pump to us starting businesses, but now it's time for us to get employees and make it a goal. And it's not too late for it to be your 2021 goal. It's to make at least $100,000 for 2021. So that's where we're going. We're already, hiring employees. We have a professional payroll. And like I said, so far we've made what we've made in last year in 3 months. So we are forecast for this year to beat that statistic and make that first 100K.
Love it. That's what's up. And the goal is to not beat the statistic, right? Defy the odds. Like, okay, you say Black women are here, this particular demographic is here. Nope, we're gonna change that statistic.
Yeah, and the internet is making it possible.
Right. That's wow. That's awesome. I would imagine over these past 3 years that it hasn't all been a bed of roses. We deal with things. If it has, that's wonderful. Please tell us what you've done for it to be a bed of roses. But even roses come with some thorns. Has there ever been a thorny situation that you've been through just as a business owner or a leader?
A thorny situation for me would be knowing that you can't serve everybody, right?
Mhm.
There's been
Okay.
some times where we've had to turn down people. There's been some times where you may get a client and you just find out like it's not a good fit. And that's okay, right? It's still just, leave professionally, sever the relationship professionally, but just knowing that, you don't have to say yes to everybody. And it's okay to say no. So there have been times where, you know, a person will hire you, but you gotta trust your coach. You gotta trust the expert that you hired. And so that has been, not a lot of situation, but we have had a situation where I had to understand, well, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad leader. It just means that sometimes it's not a good fit. It's not a good culture fit. It's not a good personality fit. And you have to just be okay with that. And then I would just say the other, maybe, let's see. I would just say too, just like as a leader, sometimes you can get frustrated. I had to learn as a leader that everybody is not going to be on your level, but that's not an opportunity for you to get frustrated. That's an opportunity for you to lead. And at first I didn't understand that. So when, I would see so much potential in the authors and I, wanted them to produce at a certain level and they didn't, I would get frustrated. But I had to learn that that's why I'm in their life. That's why I've been assigned to them. It's just to help them. And so, just the kinks of starting and being in a business, you're going to go through your learning, your accounting, needing a CRM. But most of the pitfalls for me have been just getting and becoming a better leader. So I'm really big on mentorship. I teach my authors to have mentors, even if it's not with Sophisticated Press, get outside mentors. And I personally have like 3 different mentors. I have a fitness mentor, a spiritual mentor, and a business mentor, so that I can become a better leader. Because if there's any kinks in your business, it's not the client's fault, it's the leader fault. So
You have to take responsibility
you do.
and fix things. And I'm not one of those people who thinks that the customer is always right, because that's not always the case.
Mhm.
And so, but as you were to your point, um, you have to take responsibility for your business, and if something is not going the way it should go, okay, what adjustments can be made? Doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're a bad person, doesn't mean you're a bad leader. It's like, okay, this is not working. What needs to change?
Yeah.
What needs to shift? What needs to be adjusted? Or what needs to be expanded sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're thinking like this and you need to be thinking like big, really big.
Mhm.
So that's good. If you could give the audience some wisdom, what would it be?
I would say I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to invest in your brain. Um, sometimes we invest in everything else for the external, but the real profit and the real investment is investing in your brain. Just go back to the times when you was a little kid and you loved when it was time to go to the library, and you love reading books. And I would just say, if you have a desire to publish your book, and statistics show that 80 to 85% of the population want to write a book, but only 5% follow through, I would say follow through. Connect with Ashley, or connect with Sophisticated Press, or connect with any other publishing companies that's out there, and tell your story, share your genius in the book. It is your obligation to humanity, and it is going to cost. And it's okay that it's going to cost. Be willing to invest in the process. And what you're going to find out is that not only are you writing a book, you're going to lead with time management skills. Your self confidence is going to grow. You're going to now be in a position where you have global exposure. You're going to create multiple streams of income. And you're going to also be creating a legacy, because your book will outlive you. And even when you're gone, your book will be a testament that you were here, and it'll still make money for your children's children. So writing a book is a no-brainer. It's definitely, if you're an entrepreneur, no matter what type of business you have, you should have a book for your business. And when you create that book, we're going to teach you how to make that book a business for you. And like I said, you should be able to get 7 streams of income out of one book.
That's big, but it's real, and we love it. Thank you again. Relevant insight from remarkable leaders like Renetta. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. If you would like to get started on your book, or perhaps you started and you need help finishing, please find her, www.sophisticatedpress.com. All kinds of goodies. She has some swag, some merchandise on there. Sis, write the book. Bro, write the book. Love it. Like, just write it. Just get started. You can find her here. Again, thank you for tuning in. And if you would like to be a guest, please visit www.leadershiplady.com. If you need help getting productive and getting stuff done, visit www.leadershiplady.com as well. Love you all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.